So my name is Lisa Velazquez. I'm originally from Austria.
My name is Beryl Harper. I live in Durham, New Hampshire.
I'm Becky Field. I live in Concord, New Hampshire, and I am a photographer, and I mostly do photographs of immigrants and refugees who live in New Hampshire and resettled here.
So I'm quite familiar with compassionate listening because I'm also a spiritual companion, life coach. And I also took classes. That's how I met Yael, which became a very good friend of mine.
Joel came and spoke at our church and talked about going to Israel and Palestine and the effect of compassionate listening. I was pretty impressed, actually. It was extremely inspirational, very impressive. We found out about the trip to Alabama with compassionate listening.
And when I read about the trip, it just really resonated, but in a way where I wanted to learn more about American history. And I, as an Austrian, felt sort of a little bit removed.
I really didn't give too much thought to the trip ahead of time. I was very busy. I had lots of things going on, and I just knew, okay, I'm going to go to Alabama.
And I remember saying at the time, I'm not so sure I'd be a very good candidate for this compassionate listening project trip because I have a pretty strong bent for social justice. And he said, "You're the perfect person. We want people like you on this trip." And I go, "Really?" So I go, "Oh, good idea. I think this would be a great thing for me then."
I thought, well, I know all about this stuff. They don't have to tell me about the Civil War and slavery. I know about this. And I was so amazed by what we learned. The impact of slavery and of treatment of people of color. It was just amazing to me. So the emotional impact of this trip was huge.
Because this time I didn't go as the Austrian observing American history, but I went fully in it, listening to what is mine to hear.
A number of things that were part of the trip that didn't just depend on the Compassionate Listening Project were really important to me. And I found it being placed in Alabama with our speakers was very powerful. And the idea that you get a greater feeling for oppressed communities, but you have models of people who are inspirational and rise up out of those communities was much more impactful and immediate being there. I can watch TV documentaries and I read lots of books, and I could have had those speakers come to New Hampshire and tell their exact same stories. But being there and the combination of the range of speakers, the museums, all the civil rights sites, that made it very powerful.
Where it came all together for me, I said, wow. Ron was playing for us at the museum, and as we were sitting in the circle, listening to him speaking through the flute, I could feel how we, and with we, I mean, we white-bodied people are invited back into the circle again. What became so clear to me is we are the ones who left the circle of humanity by being the oppressors, by feeling superior, by this ideology of white supremacy. And I'm not just talking about America, but worldwide.
We visited some of the museums, the Legacy Museum and the National Museum for Peace and Justice, which is commonly referred to as the Lynching Museum. And I could have spent a lot more time at both of those. They were very powerful and very meaningful for me. But it also reminded me very poignantly of what is going on with refugees and immigrants at this time in our country. And I think that was one of the things that really hit me so hard on this trip, was that I saw the parallels between treatment of Black people and treatment of refugees.
And then to listening to people now, descendants of the slaves, saying, we will love you till you can't hate us anymore. And we sort of felt that, that, yes, if you come with love, you are welcomed back to love. So that's what I felt. And that's what that trip, it sort of brought it back together for me, what we are invited back into.
It opened my eyes to not only the cruelty and brutality of slavery, but it also showed me the ways in which the communities in Alabama that we visited are really trying to bring together this tremendous separation in their history. And I'm really pretty impressed with Alabama as a result of this trip. I really think they are trying. We met some community leaders that were really working hard to bring their community into a place of healing.
I could not imagine going with just a regular tour group. I don't know how other people do it without really looking deep, and then have others to listen to and also share with. It's just what the Compassionate Listening Project is about. By sharing your own story honestly, openly, vulnerably, the rest falls where it falls.
The way I looked at this trip was that compassionate listening gave us a tool. And then we went off to use that tool in a particular way. And that was to look at the history of slavery and the civil rights movement, and where the communities of Alabama are today in those efforts. And so the mix, the combination of compassionate listening with dealing with some very difficult, fractious issues, in this case in Alabama, it was such a powerful tool that I could see how it opened up people, how it opened up stories, how it gave people the opportunity to not only share their story, but to go deeper into some of their values and some of the things that were really important to them.
I almost look forward to inserting myself into experiences that are likely to be some kind of a pilgrimage. So when I initially said that this is the kind of trip that I would really be interested in, it was partly the draw for me was not that I would know what was going to happen. Partly the draw for me was that I wasn't going to know what would happen. And for me, that's a really wonderful way for me to go on an experience.
You know, there's few things in my life, few events in my life that I would call life-shaping, but this was one of them. This really woke me up about a lot of issues, and it's gonna influence what I do in this next chapter of my life, whatever that may be.
I just want to encourage everyone. I wish this trip would be a must for everyone, young and old, to just really see and feel how we are all connected and how we can do less harm and really just start loving.